How's it going, everyone? Toogie here, back again with some more NHL 16 and my Boston Bruins GM mode. In this episode, we wrap up Season 2. The playoffs are done. We are just a day away from the draft. We'll go over everything, the playoff bracket, the awards, take a look at some stats. We'll move on, do the draft. I won't show any of that because we're not going to make any moves, or at least any planned big moves, until the free agency period, when we can get a look at who we have to re-sign. But yeah, right now, let's just get into it. As you can see on the playoff tree, the Stanley Cup champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll take a quick look at this. If you want to look over every series, go ahead, just pause it now. And then the player awards, Vladimir Tarasenko just cleans up. Art Ross, the Hart. Norris goes to Doughty, Lady Byng to Tarasenko, Calder to Michael Dal-Coll, Ben Bishop, the Conn Smythe, John Gibson, the Vezina, Howard with the Jennings, the Masterton. Hey, at least we won a award, a simple award. It's Luke Schenn, Selke to Zetterberg, and then Tarasenko, the top point getters this season. Pause the video if you'd like to get an even better look, but Tarasenko and Stamkos, the only 80-point getters. As far as defensemen, we didn't do too bad. Torrey Krug was in top 5 for points, but it's Drew Doughty who won the Norris finishes top 5. Krug finished at an 89 overall because of the morale system. We'll go back really quick. Player stats. Again, I don't want to do this for too long. It might get pretty boring, but we do have some pretty much similar questions. Bergeron's obviously staying, but 41 points for a top-line center is not good enough. He needs to pick it up. Brian Boyle on the 4th line did very well for us. Michael Chaput on the 3rd line picked it up a little bit. It's going to be an interesting season for him. Kovalchev and Zarnik, not sure what I'm going to do. One of them is going to be traded. We have no choice. Left wing, Matt Nieto, not too bad. I don't know if he's good enough to be that top line guy, so really we might have to look at getting somebody else because Michael Bodker on the 1st line simply isn't cutting it, and we're going to have to get rid of him. Josh Bailey on the 3rd line, not too bad, and then Anton Bleed, who we called up on the 4th line, not too bad either, 10 points in 19 games. Seth Griffith, I don't know if he's good enough. David Pasternak's not good enough yet. So we do have a lot of questions, but we are a rebuilding team. We need to just accept the growing pains and see what happens. The defensive core, though, isn't looking too bad. We certainly improved it with getting Travis Hamonic. Maybe we'll look at getting somebody else. And then, of course, Tuukka Rask and Malcolm Subban, who did not do too bad once he got called up. A .942 save percentage and a .153 goals against in 5 games. Down in the AHL, not too bad either for Ludovic Weber. The Providence Bruins, of course, were the defending Calder Cup champions. They got kicked out in the 1st round. But Weber, a .918 and a .231 goals against. Didn't get that many games, but he had a solid season, and he will probably be the future backup. Defensively, not too much really to look at. Wickstrand's doing well. Jared Hauff. Point total's not amazing, but you do have these guys progressing. Right wing, Joshua Ho-Sang ended up doing great. I'm not sure how many points these guys really had before they came here. Ho-Sang, though, with a great point total, also up to a 75 as well. Jeff Polof's not doing too bad. Axel Blomqvist. Matt Mastelle was a shocker, up to a 73 overall and 46 points. But there you can just see, again, kind of pause if you want to take a look, and you can really see where these guys are. But that is it for this portion of the video. I will be back in 1 second, and we'll take a look and see how the draft's gone. Quickly, guys, as we enter the draft, as you can see in the message center, Joe Thornton and Marian Hossa have both retired. Henrik Zetterberg as well. But trading Joe Thornton certainly seemed like the good option. I mean, definitely a bad decision to trade for him. In the first place, it didn't pan out. So here we go, guys. Tyler Randall has accepted. David Pastrnak has accepted. Bodker's back, and he won't be for long. Matt Nieto is here. Brian Boyle, Chaput, Lier, Malcolm Subban, Linus Arneson. Hopefully everyone's accepted here. Sean Day, Zaboral, Wickstrand, and I think that's it. I think that was everybody. Alright, guys, so here we are. Free agency has begun, and as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, we have $17 million to work with. That's not too bad, and there's a hell of a group of free agents out there. Now, Ben Bishop, obviously, we don't need. Elliott, we don't need. As far as potential goes, there are a couple of decent goalies we could potentially look at, but let's get in to the big names here, particularly on defense, and there you see him at the top. Victor Hedman is a free agent, and you bet your ass we are offering him a contract right now. Could you imagine Torrey Krug and Victor Hedman on the top line? He wants 6.65, and I'm gonna take a big risk. I'm gonna bump it up to $7 million flat. $7 million, 7 years. It's an insane contract, but it's Victor Hedman. He'll be 33 at the time it's done, entering, starting to get to that twilight point of his career. If we can lock him up in his prime for 7 years, that would be amazing. Other than that, there's really no defense or defenders that we really need to look at. Linus Arneson's better than all but one of them, that being Barrett Jackman, who's 36 years old. Right wingers, and this is another big one. Radim Vrbata's a free agent again. Perhaps we should pick him up and boot Seth Griffith out of here and just try to, get whatever we can for Griffith. Vrbata's only going to be here for a year or two. We could get Justin Williams, who will only be here for a year or two, if that. And maybe even look at the third line, Tommy Wingels, Drew Stafford. We could do a lot of stuff there. I'm not going to offer anyone a contract yet. Left wing, I mentioned this a while ago. Brad Marchand is once again a free agent. That could be our top line left wing, guys. It could be Brad Marchand again. It could be Thomas Vanek. In all honesty, we could probably sign. I don't really want to sign Marleau. He's 37. But if we sign Vanek and Marchand, or perhaps even Yuri Sekach and Marchand, put Sekach on the second line, move Matt Nieto possibly to the third line. I'm not really sure how I'd want to pen that in, but I'm very tempted. And actually, you know what? I'm already going to do it. I am going to offer Brad Marchand a contract and see if he will come back. Same thing that I did with Hedman. I'm going to bump him up to $6 million flat. It's only for 2 years as well, and we'll see if he can be back on our top 2 skill line pairings. And then with centers, Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson's a free agent at 88 overall. Obviously, we had David Krejci and traded him away, expecting to use Zarnik or Kovalchev. Both really haven't done too much or too well yet. Tyler Johnson might be too good of a player to pass up on. Now, obviously, if we send him a contract, we wouldn't also be able to afford, or potentially not be able to afford, Victor Hedman and Brad Marchand, all three of them. I'm going to offer Tyler Johnson a deal. Why not? He's 26. He's what we want Kovalchev and Zarnik to be already. It is a little bit skipping ahead in terms of the, in terms of the rebuild. I'm going to bump him up to 7.25 for 5 years, and we will see if he accepts. But I have now those 3 big contracts out: Hedman, Johnson, and Marchand. Alright guys, so here's the deal. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit of an idiot. I didn't realize how close we were in terms of contracts. So obviously now we have Victor Hedman, we have the big fish, but we missed out on Tyler Johnson, and now we still have a chance to salvage Brad Marchand. I'm going to trade away Schmalz, who is one of the 3 fourth-line projected centers that we have, because honestly we don't need 4 of them, and Tommy Cross, who really doesn't fit into the plans anymore and just isn't going to progress. I wanted to keep him as the Providence Bruins captain. That's not necessary. 4th-round pick is accepted for the Anaheim Ducks, or by the Anaheim Ducks. We will take it. So I'm certainly kicking myself for missing out on potentially Tyler Johnson, but we do have Victor Hedman there. I really wanted Tyler Johnson though, but you never know. Maybe we can trade for someone else of his caliber. Teams have really kind of backed away from Brad Marchand. We're going to offer him a deal. And now the question is, now that we don't have Tyler Johnson to really go after, is there anybody else we should? In terms of center, it doesn't make too much sense. There are really no centers that we necessarily need. In terms of potential, there's a couple of them. Kalinen's 26, he's 26, so yeah, all those potentials don't make sense. But we have Spears, a low elite potential guy, 20 years old, was a 3rd-round pick of the New Jersey Devils. I think I'm going to offer him a contract. Hopefully this doesn't really screw me over. I might have to make one more trade. Let's offer him an entry-level deal, and I will go trade away somebody else. So right now, we do need to trade one other person if we want to pick somebody up. And really, there's no other amazing guys. We do have Connor Garland, who is actually someone I was looking at who could potentially grow into a top forward. But for now, we are good on prospects. So for centers, there's really nobody we need that'll be better than Kovalchev or anybody else. The question is, should we go with Thomas Vanek, who would essentially replace Matt Nieto, might make Josh Bailey a little bit obsolete, or should we just go with Radim Verbata for now. Richard Panik probably won't pan out. We're going to offer Radim Verbata another contract. It'll be 1 year. We'll go a little bit higher since we have the cap space. And then essentially now we'll have Radim Verbata and Brad Marchand as our 2 new wingers to replace the leaving Seth Griffith and the leaving Mikhail Bodker, which really opens up the chance to trade potentially if we want to trade away Kokochev, if we want to trade away Austin Czarnik, if we want to trade away Malcolm Subban. Now we actually have some pieces that we can work with to get a top line center if we choose to do so. But speaking of centers, we are going to trade away one of them. We have Tremblay as a projected 4th line center, and I'm pretty sure Liam Murphy was the other one. Obviously we have a shitload of unsigned guys after the draft, so I'm gonna go with Tremblay, and let's just see if we can get something out of him. Unfortunately, we kind of gave up a little bit to get him, but plans have changed all of a sudden. It would have really changed if we got Tyler Johnson, but hey, maybe we could actually trade for him. And yes, I'm going to keep bringing that up. Will Chicago give up a 3rd round pick? No, they won't. So we will just take a 4th round pick from them. I'm not going to tack on anything else because the draft starts to get really thin. So we lose on the Tremblay deal in terms of what we gave up for him. But now we have those 3 deals out. Let's see if we can do anything, and we get Radim Verbata back. So we trade him away. He goes to Columbus, knocks us out in the 1st round. Now he's back. So again, we could trade him away if necessary. Question is, will we get Brad Marchand, and will we get that rookie? We do get the rookie. Blake Spears is here. Still no answer from Brad Marchand. I'm really hoping for it to happen soon. I'm going to go take a look. Has he signed yet? He hasn't signed yet, and I unfortunately can't re-offer him a contract. So I don't know if he's getting any other offers, guys, but let's go ahead and sim another day. And we do get Brad Marchand. So Radim Verbata and Brad Marchand are now back on this team. So guys, I'm going to cut off the episode here. I want to give you a little bit of time to give me some feedback on the moves that have happened so far, but I also want to give you a chance, of course, to give you your input. Easy for me to say, to give your input on what we should do next. Right now, the goaltending situation looks like Rask and Subban, with Weber, Volden, and a throwaway goalie as the backup spot. Should we look to trade Subban for another solid player? Obviously, that decision will be a little bit easier for you once I show you who else is on the team. But should we look to trade Subban and just simply sign a random backup goalie? Defense, and goddamn it, I'm so happy. I am so happy. We now have Victor Hedman and Torrey Krug, 2 elite defenders, both 26 years old. Krug's contract is expiring next year. That might be a little bit of a concern, but we'll make it work. Hamonic, Demers, Morrow, and Shen. Linus Arneson there as well. Should we trade away one of these defensemen? To be honest, I'm kind of leaning towards Jason Demers, who's the oldest and hasn't really done too much. I'd rather have Linus Arneson in. That way we have 3 pure defensive D-man, and Hamonic, Shen, and Arneson, and then we have Morrow, Krug, and Hedman who can get the offense done. But let me know what you think there. In the system, we're still stacked. Colin Miller, Wickstrand, and then the big guys coming up: Carlo, Lozon, Zaboral, Sean Day. We have a ton of defensive depth in our organization right now. It's looking really good. Right wingers, Radim Verbata is back. Pretty much everyone is once again going to be an expiring contract, but we have Radim Verbata, we have David Pastrnak. Seth Griffith, do we trade him? What do we do with Griffith? We have Tyler Randall and Brian Ferlin as well. Ferlin, I know, is not exactly the greatest overall and what most of you would like to see for a 3rd line guy. He's not necessarily what I'd like to see for a 3rd line guy either. He's really more of a 4th line guy if you look at his physical category, but then we already have Tyler Randall there. So should we keep Brian Ferlin, who actually does have a little bit of decent value to him? Should we trade him away? Should we trade Seth Griffith away and maybe increase our 3rd line guy and actually get a traditional shutdown 3rd line guy? In the system, 2 for right wings, we're making good progress. They're not there yet. Hosang, Jeff Polofs, both 75 overall. Blomqvist and Senshin there as well. So that's starting to look good. left wings. We'll take a look at that in a minute. If I can actually go over to the right side, we have now Brad Marchand on our top line, Matt Nieto projected to be the second line guy, Josh Bailey on the third. Should we potentially keep Michael Bodker and put him on the second line, or should we stick with our with our kind of organizational setup and just stick with Josh Bailey on the third line, Marchand, Nieto, and just get an actual fourth liner for that left wing spot, which lately has been taken up by, actually we have Anton Bleed and Anthony Kamara, who are both fourth line grinders in there. We could get a little bit better than one of those two though, but they're both young and they have potential. Liet's getting there, Jake DeBrusk already up to a 76 overall, so it's looking good in terms of the system. But what do we do with Michael Bodker? And then at center we have Bergeron. We have to make a decision between Zarnik and Kovalchev, Chaput staying on that third line, and Brian Boyle on the fourth line. In the system, they're not there yet. It's looking a bit rough, but we now have Spears, 74 overall, low elite potential, a bit of a steal, and a couple of other guys who are still looking to pan out, but really 20 years old is the oldest we have. So guys, that is it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching as you get a look at the remaining free agents. Any moves we make from here are really going to have to be trades to improve our team. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's been a longer episode. There was a lot to get into. But again, we've made the jump. We're skipping ahead a little bit in the rebuild process, but we still have some strong prospects. We still have some young guys projected to be in this lineup. I don't necessarily want to divert away from that plan, but maybe we should. We still have a team with Bergeron and Rask. If you've enjoyed this episode, leave a like down below. Subscribe for more, of course. There will be more episodes coming out in the future, and I thank you for those that watch us, especially after I kind of diverted into a lot of XBS coverage, which we will be seeing more of, but that really kind of took up a lot of my time in the past week. And of course, share with your friends, help spread the word, and I will catch you all next time.